I could not be saved, but for your grace, I would go away. I'm forever grateful that you have been faithful to me, Lord, for your amazing grace. But for your grace, I cannot be saved. But for your grace, I would go my way. I'm forever grateful that you have been faithful to me, Lord, for your amazing grace. It all happened as I opened my email. Another person tragically ended their life last night. They didn't think that life owed them anything. They thought that that was the best option for them. They felt that life was hopeless. It's difficult to live in a city where there's so many hopeless people. People who believe that they're better off dead than alive. 2 days ago, as I was sharing with someone about the goodness of God in my life, I was almost at the point of tears because I recognize that in spite of my troubles and struggles in life, that indeed God has been nothing but amazingly good. And that I'm only here today and where I am at because of God's amazing grace. God's grace has seen me through some difficult spots. As I sat sharing with her, hoping to encourage her because she was so hopeless, convinced, resigned to the fact that God wanted her dead. Tears well up in my eyes as I fight back those tears, as I reflect and was living my own journey of God's amazing grace. Recently, I had the opportunity to share a chapter in the book, Intentional Healing. As I wrote that story for the first time in many years, as I reflected on the story and the surrounding of my mother's death, tears streamed down my eyes. What hadn't happened for years? But I recognize God's goodness in my life. But the testimony I want to share with you today is, as I reflect on my whole life being, I come to the point again. I was sharing with a friend last night also, and she said to me, maybe your life was meant to be just filled with struggle. My life falls nothing short of struggles. I said to the Lord, I came here for break. I watched while there was so many different common threads in my life. Always the odd one out. Always treated indifferently. Always fighting for what everybody else take for granted. Always given the most to do and paid the less. The less. I remember while having this conversation with God, God, I want you to stop this with me. I don't want this to pass on to my little cousins because I have no children of my own. But I want to stop. If this is a generational curse, I want you to nip it with me. I remember speaking to God about my finances, and he says, it was so funny because I can't remember what I was listening to. And the response just came back. I am more than enough for you. Okay, God. Well, you're more than enough. Pay all my bills. Take care of me. I went on. And as I was talking to him, out of nowhere again, I can't remember, was listening to something. I am your husband. Okay, husband. Here's my list. Take care of me. I can smile now, but I can guarantee you I wasn't smiling that day. I can't remember, I can't imagine to start telling you how many times he gives me these two phrases. I am more than enough for you. I am your husband. And I'm like, God, I surely don't feel like you're my husband right now. But God has taken me through some difficult waters. And recently, I've been reading Anatomy of Peace. And I recognize that my heart needs to be at peace. Because I spent a good chunk of the last few years being tired and sick and tired of being tired. Tired of fighting against church politics, tired of fighting about others telling me that I'm not good enough to be used by God. Tired of sick and tired of being tired, tired of being sick, tired of working with unethical people who just beat the system and still go ahead. But as I reflected, I was just talking to a colleague from my old workplace, and he was saying, and I said to him, give my regards to everyone and tell them thank you for all the troubles they've given me. Because had they not given me all that trouble and put me where they didn't want to go, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. Running from trouble brought me into a situation, and I honestly didn't even know. I mean, I thought I was going to be a senior chaplain somewhere under somebody else. I mean, yes, I'm a manager, but I had no idea that I was going to be in charge of a hospital, the chaplains there. I didn't, it didn't sink in. It didn't, I knew I had some people under me, but I didn't know I was going to be the main person there. And it hasn't been easy. My life hasn't been easy. As a matter of fact, it has had so many spirals and spirals. But I recognize that there's some of us whose life is always filled with activities, challenges, growth points. And as we do a journey with God, there are moments, several moments in our lives when God seems silent. We are living in an hopeless world. And I'm going to stop this testimony there because I want this to be short today. I want to use this platform, and I've been telling you about it. I want you to share the goodness of God in your life. I want you to bring hope to someone who has no hope. I want you to share how God's amazing grace has brought you through. I want you to share that it was Him who has been pulling you through. I want you to bring hope to the hopeless. Not that the stories in the Bible aren't good enough. I've always maintained the fact that if all I can share is the stories in the Bible, what can I tell someone else when they ask me, what has God done for you? Oftentimes we don't want to share because we fear being judged. But add those stories in the Bible, those characters didn't even have a say when their stories were being shared. Eyewitness gave account. And some of the most disreputable persons in the Bible, their stories are the most convicting. As I listened to a testimony this evening of a guy who was killed someone and was sentenced for 20 years and how he found God when he was about to kill himself, I was even more convinced that God needs to hear someone needs to hear God's grace in your life and how He has brought you through those difficult days. Too many people in this location where I'm at are hopeless because they can't identify with one person and they feel like life is better without them. I want to challenge you to email me at itwasyoupullingmethrough@gmail.com. Share your story about how God has pulled you through. Don't just keep this to yourself. If you know someone who God has pulled through some sticky situation, maybe God is still pulling you through. Have you been in complex grief or loss? Maybe it's a miscarriage. Maybe you're still waiting for your breakthrough. God might unleash the shackles in your life and set you free. Why not set someone else free? by sharing how God's grace still amazes you right now in my life. Even if God doesn't work the way I want him to, I want his spirit to be such a testimony in my life that someone else can see how God's grace amazing me. Even in the midst of my continuity and all of my struggles, if someone can look at the way I respond to my struggles, I said to the Lord this evening, I don't want to question you no more. I just want to say, okay, Lord, here I am. What's next? If that's your desire to share your testimony with someone, your aha moment of how God pulled you through, how you weighed those terrible, difficult waters and found healing, why not drop us a line or put a note in the chat with your details, and I will get in touch with you. This is the platform where we can connect and you can share how God's grace is still amazing you and how he's still pulling you through difficult moments. As I reflected this week, I recognized that God has pulled me through some sticky situations in my life. I mean, my whole life, God has been pulling me through, still pulling me through. I don't even know how he's going to pull me through this one. But as I was talking to someone today, I had an amazing encounter today. And she said to me, I am trusting God. It's a beauty about sharing testimony with each other because we feed off the blessings of each other and the faith and strength of each other. She said, I only want God's will. And she shared with me how she was supposed to get a transplant and how she became ill. And someone was donating one of their good kidneys. And she said, when she recognized what God saved her from, she couldn't even regret not getting it. And at this point in her life, she recognized that she has to trust God, whatever his plan looks like. I am still waiting, she says. I don't know what the road ahead looks like, but I have to trust God's process and know that he will do right towards me. So whether you're still sitting in it or you have been through it, it was God who pulls you through. And his grace is still amazing you. So hit the subscribe button. But beyond that, I don't want you to just hit the subscribe button. I want you to share with someone else and come and share with us also your testimony of how God shows up and is still amazing you. I want you to share with us how God has brought you through some sticky situation, how he shows up when your bank account was empty, how he provided food on your table, how he healed you from trauma and rape and disgrace, how God has given you what the conquer worm has stolen, how he has taken your marred vessel and make you into a new vessel of honor. The God we serve is still in the miracle working business. He still heals. He still restores. And he wants you to share and bring rest and relief to someone. So here's your opportunity. If you know someone who's willing to share with us, just get in touch. May God bless you. Think about it this Sabbath day. And as you find rest, why not share your testimony and bring rest and healing to someone else? And let God pull them through. Have a blessed Sabbath day. Blessings.